Hello friends, this is Rajdeep. Welcome to Learning Insight. For UGC-NET-JRF Target 2020, डिस्कस करेंगे पेपर 3 जून 2013 with best explanation, and this is our video number 6 and this is our part A. And if you have not seen my earlier videos up to 5, then please watch these videos because where I have discussed with best explanations and some extension of the answers, what is in the right side and what is the left side. So what I did, I have already discussed the questions and the answer with their extension, what the question may be form or what the additional information they ask in your NET-JRF exam. So let's start. The first question, that Robert Redfield, a famous book. So this book was The famous book was The Little Community, and this was published in the year 1955. Now next question, emotional disorder in which an individual remain oriented to reality but suffer from chronic anxiety is known as neurosis, not schizophrenia, depression, paranoid states and neurosis. Its answer is neurosis. There are many different neuroses. That is obsessive compulsive disorder, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, impulse control disorder, anxiety disorder, hysteria, and a great variety of phobia. When there is emotional disorder in which an individual remain oriented to reality and suffer from chronic anxiety is known as neurosis. Now next question, which one of the following theories is known as a growth oriented theory? So client-centered theory, we will know that is a growth oriented theory, and client-centered therapy, also known as person-centered therapy, is a non-directive form of talk therapy that was developed by humanist, the psychologist named Carl Roger during the 1940s and 1950s. This theory was developed. The psychologist known as Carl Roger, and this theory was known as client-centered theory, and it's also called person-centered therapy. Now next question, the concept made measurable is called a variable. A variable is defined as anything that has a quantity and quality that varies. Now that concept made measurable is only variable. Variable maybe in the form of question, it may be it has the quantity or qualitative value. Now next question, intervening variable can be controlled by randomization variable. So intervening variable is a hypothetical variable and used to explain causal link between other variables. Intervening variables cannot be observed in an experiment, so this variable cannot be observed during the experiment. So randomization is the intervening variable, and that control by intervening variable by the randomization. Now, which government body promote measure for care and protection of person with disability in the event of death of the persons or guardians? So National Trust, that body that promote measure for care and protection of person with disability. Now the National Trust is a statutory body of the Ministry of Social Science, Social Justice and Empowerment, and under the Government of India, set up under the National Trust for the Welfare of Palsy, Mental Retardations and Multiple Disability Act. That is in the act. The National Trust was enacted in the year 1999. Now next question, the author of the book Practice of Social Research and Social Work Perspectives, that was written by D. Kellal. Now detachment from work, ability to accomplish goals and emotional discharge is known as burnout. Psychological detachment, hence after referred to as detachment, related to a sense of being away from the work situation, also is becoming more vital due to the increasing technological advances that make it easier to stay connected to the workplace through the email, smartphones, and teleworking. So burnout is something that is detached from work, inability to accomplish goals, and emotional distress. Now the next question is, which conference was brought in the concept sustainable development? So Rio Conference brought the sustainable development. The concept of sustainable development formed the basis of United Nations Conference on Environment and Development held in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. So Rio Conference was held in the year 1992 and it was concept for sustainable development, and the summit marked the first international attempt to draw a action plan and strategy for moving toward a more sustainable pattern of development. Now next question, which one of the following is not a aim of social policy? So balancing trade policies, no. Elimination of poverty, yes, is a social policy. Maximization of welfare, yes. Pursuit of equality, yes, but balancing trade policy is not the aim of social policy. Remember, social policy are all concerned for welfare and elimination of something not good. So it cannot be the aim for balancing trade policy. Now next question, acrophobia is the fear. So height is the fear of acrophobia, and blood is the fear of homophobia, and people or crowd is a acrophobia, animal is a zoophobia. So this one goes to crowd and people is goes to agoraphobia is the fear. The next question, scientific attitude is based on consistent thinking. Yes, scientific attitude is open-mindedness, a desire for accurate knowledge, confidence in procedures, seeking knowledge, and expectations that solution of the problem will come out through the use of verified knowledge. So consistent thinking is the scientific attitude, and once it is scientific attitude, then there should be verified knowledge. That knowledge should become by the verification only. Then next question, concentric circle theory is associated with people's participation. Now concentric circle theory or of public relation developed by Ilmo Roper in the year 1945. This theory describes how people use their sphere of influences to disseminate information throughout the public. Now what is concentric circle theory is associated? So this theory is associated with people participation, and this theory of public relation developed by Ilmo Roper in the year 1945. This theory describes how people use their spheres of influence to disseminate information throughout the public. So it's the theories of public relations and developed by Ilmo Roper in 1945. Now next question, who defines statistics as a science of estimates and probabilities? Now Boddington has defined this statistic as the science of estimate and probabilities. According to Boddington's, a statistic is the science of estimate and probability. The techniques and method means the collection of data, organization of data, interpretation of numerical data. So this was his definition. Now next question, regression is the measure of average relationship between two or more variable stem of the original unit of data. Now regression analysis is a set of statistical processes for estimating the relationship between dependent variable, often called outcome variable, and one or more dependent variable, often called predictor or covariates or features. So regression is the measure of average relation between two or more variables in terms of the original unit of data. Now after passing a bill in both the House of the Parliament and after President's assent, within how many days the bill should come into force? Within 30 days the bill should be come into force. So next question, determinant of population growth. We know that this fertility is the only determinant of population growth. Family, marriage and economy is not the determinant of population growth. Fertility rate. So fertility is the natural capacity to produce offspring As a measure, fertility rate is the number of offspring born per mating pairs, individuals or populations. So fertility is the only determinant of population growth. Now, sturdy beggar, sturdy beggar, sturdy beggars is the term used for the able-bodied beggars. The sturdy beggars is a form English legal expressions for someone who was fit and able to walk but begged or wandered for a living instead. Thus, sturdy beggars, those who are capable of walking, and the infirm, handicapped, or elderly poor. So they are called able-bodied beggars. Now, reaching inside the silence is a skill that refers to effort to explore the meaning of the client's silence. Now, reaching inside of silence is being able to explore the meaning of individual silence by putting possible feelings into words. So, reaching inside the silence is a skill to explore the meaning of the client's silent. Now, next question, correct sequence of organizational growth. So, if the organizational growth is depend on this sequence, there should be initiation, then there should be expansion, then there should be consolidations, then there should be terminations. So, initiation, expansion, consolidations, then termination. This should be the organizational growth sequence. Now, next question, encoding is essential for sender. Now, there is a decoding is necessary for receiver. So, sender, human communicate through a process encoding and decoding. Encoding is the person who develop and send the message. So, encoding is associated with sender and is essential for senders. World Tobacco Day is observed on 31st day. In classical conditioning, what happens to a natural stimuli after it is associated with unconditioned stimuli? It becomes a conditioned stimulus. So classical conditioning happens to natural stimulus. After it associated with unconditioned stimulus, it becomes the conditioned stimulus, and it was developed by Russian psychologist Ivan Pavlov. Now, emotional intellectual persons can accurately perceive emotion. So he is already emotionally intellectual person, that's why he accurately perceives emotions. M.G. Ross suggested three approaches for community organization, that is specific content approach, generic approach, the third approach is process approach. So we know that M.G. Ross has suggested three approach, one is specific content, generic content, and another one is process approach. Now, defense mechanism, that helps individuals cope with their internal and external state of anxiety and distress. This is known as defense mechanism that helps cope up with the internal external state of anxiety and distress. So coping with the situations or coping with the anxiety is known as defense mechanism. Now, social structure are a method of placing people in social strata, refers to a society's categorization of its peoples into groups based on socio-economic factors like wealth, income, race, education, gender, occupation, and social status, and derive power, that is social and political. So social structure, that is the method of placing people into social strata. Social strata means social group. Now this is called social structure. Without warmth, the professional social workers may be technically correct but therapeutically important has been said by Goldsteins. Now, who gave the three-dimension model of personality? The child, the adult, the parent. That was given by Eric Berne. He found that these states of mind aggregate into three types, which is Christian, parent, adult, and child. So adult, parent, and child are the three-dimension model of personality, and that was given by Eric Berne. Now, behavioral modification involve application of learning principles to change behavior. Behavior modification is defined as the alternation of behavior patterns through the use of such learning techniques as biofeedback and positive and negative reinforcements. So behavior modification is the application of learning principle to change behavior, normally for positive behavior change. Which one of the following techniques contribute a lot of the CQ-sex ratio? The prenatal diagnostic techniques. The preconception or prenatal diagnostic technique, that is PCP NDT Act 1994, is an act of the Parliament of India enacted to stop female fratricide and to arrest the declining sex ratio in India. The act banned prenatal sex determination. So prenatal diagnostic technique, that act was enacted in the year 1994, and this was against the ban the prenatal sex determination. Now next question, in which year national policy for women empowerment was announced? In 2011. Now CEDAW stand for Convention for Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and it entered into force as an international treaty on September 1981. What act deals with intimate violence? That we know that Domestic Violence Act. The Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 is an act of the Parliament of India enacted to protect women against domestic violences. Now, marginalization of targeted individuals, excluding them from community life and denying access to resources, is called stigma. Stigma is when someone views you in a negative way because you have a distinguished characteristic or personal trait that thought to be or actually is a disadvantage or negative stereotype. So it's a stigma, that is margination of targeted individual, excluding the community life or denying access to resources what others are using or normal people are using. So this is all about in this video. To complete this paper, you have to see the video, that is 6B. Here we'll discuss from 36 number question to 75. Hopefully you like the video. If yes, then please do like, share, subscribe and press the bell icon so that you can get my all videos, and you can join my Telegram channel, you can join my Google Classroom for study materials, like the Facebook page. Thank you for watching, and